The blue boys are back and wait, hold on. Blues are boys and back. The back is Blues Boys. The Boys in Blue DLC is finally out, and yeah, I guess you can say we're back to some degree. It's at least a step in the right direction. This update is exactly what Payday 3 needed. A nice big juicy content drop for a much more reasonable price. $8 for the heist, which only the host needs, $4 for the weapon pack, which I'll be discussing in this video in great detail for you, and a tailor pack, which we'll briefly be reviewing near the end for about $3. To compensate for the reduced price on the DLCs, those with a season pass or the silver or gold editions, and anyone who bought Syntax Error prior are getting some free stuff as an apology, which is nice. So let's get down to the real meat of this update and look at the content. The heist is very reminiscent of a Payday 2 heist. Both the loud and the stealth are very satisfying to pull off. And there are some unique elements in here that we haven't seen in a Payday game ever. The goal is to get the gold that's in the evidence room for sad. Very sad. I know they did this a few months ago, but that's not Vlad. That's not Vlad. I don't know who this is, but it's definitely not Vlad. They have the same voice actor, so I don't know why they can't just use the face instead of this AI-generated rectangle head. Anyway, it's about time we got gold as loot. Gold is supposed to be some of the most valuable loot, so it's weird that it wasn't in the base game. I mean, we got meth and servers before we got gold, which is a bit strange. And yes, you do move slowly when carrying 2 bags of it, but you're still strong enough to jump. I mean, the gang has got to have some strong legs. It may seem like I'm moving pretty quickly in some of this footage, but I am running an adrenaline build, so keep that in mind. That 20% movement speed is very noticeable. But when it comes to stealth, speed isn't usually going to be a big problem for you. The stealth in this heist is a lot of fun. You're trying to get a keycard and fingerprints to get access to the evidence room where the gold is. There's also some cocaine and rare elements in there for you, as well as some cash hidden around in some safes on the 2nd floor of the precinct. You'll have to hack the captain's computer to know which locker has the keycard and whose fingerprints you have to get. The issue with the fingerprints is that most of the time, if not always, it's Jeremy Benton's prints you're looking for. Granted, his desk location does move, but it's surprising that the person doesn't seem to change. The other issue I tend to have with the RNG comes with this bonus objective that you can do, which is to place wiretaps on the lieutenant's car, locker, and desk. Now, while the desk doesn't move, the car's location does change, but the thing that really gets me is when it comes to the locker. Typical Payday would have you looking for that kind of information, like you're doing already in order to figure out which locker you need to get the red key card from. But here, all you have to do is press tab. The game will automatically tell you which one it is, and it seems like for the most part, it's locker 27. I've had that locker be the one multiple times in a row, as well as seen a couple of videos where it's locker 27. I mean, I'm not mad. It's just very unlike Payday to do this. Let me know what your thoughts are on this one. I think the RNG in Payday 3 could use some improvements overall, but the RNG otherwise, aside from these instances, is really good in this heist. Now, when it comes to accessing the evidence room, there are pressure pads outside of the room, so only one person can go in at a time. And you also can't walk bags out. You'll have to use this window, which I honestly do like. The in-universe reason for this is that it's an old building using an old system and they haven't retrofitted it at all, which actually makes a lot of sense given that it takes place in the Bronx. Now, this stealth might sound difficult, especially with all the cops and cameras, but the assets you get are actually very helpful. Payday 3's heists typically don't require a lot of assets to be used. A lot of them seem almost unnecessary. In fact, the asset I think I end up using the most is zip lines. But here they can be pretty helpful, like fake 911 calls that reduce the overall quantity of cops. Even then though, there's a box of donuts that will distract a lot of them, and yes, you can eat the donuts. They're actually really useful. They give you all the buffs when you eat one. The animation team also flex their skills because there's 2 different animations, one for stealth and one for loud. In stealth you take your time and the animator really flexes their skills with this one, but in loud you just kind of shovel them in your mouth. When you go loud in this heist, which by the way can happen if someone gets handcuffed or anybody makes one of the cops enter search mode. The plan then completely changes. Now you have to blow up a wall with some explosives from a van parked in the parking lot. Then use a tow truck that's there to pull the door off the evidence room. As for your escape, you're going to be using an armored vehicle that's in the garage. You're going to have to find the keys though. Your optional objective also changes. Instead of planting a bug, Shade wants you to copy info off the servers for Vlad. What's nice is that RNG plays into all of these aspects, whether it be simply the animation on the door as it's being pulled off, or the location of the server room. This might seem like it's going to be a very simple heist, but honestly the level is very well designed. There's a lot of cover, the donut mechanic is fun, snipers aren't annoying, but I will say I feel like there are more cloakers overall. That could just be me though. Now, as you would expect, Loud is a lot more straightforward, but I do have some tips for you. For instance, even though no objectives have you go into the locker room, I still recommend you get the red key card from there. This is because the red key card is useful on 2 doors that otherwise you would have to drill. These 2 doors are 1, the room inside of the evidence room that has the gold, and 2, the entrance to the garage, which houses the vehicle you're going to use to escape, as well as one of the 2 locations the generator can spawn. The other location for the generator is behind this fenced off area, and if you don't want to lockpick your way in, well, I have good news for you. You can hop on top of this and then just hop right over the fence and unlock the things from the inside without having to play the minigame. The last piece of advice I have to give you is where the techie spawns. The location I often find her in when I'm going Loud is underneath the stairs outside in the parking lot. The second location's really close to there, so just head there if you see the techie. The third and final location I found her is on the 2nd floor inside the cafeteria. Overall, it's an enjoyable heist that I played several times in a row and I still haven't gotten tired of it. It's honestly one of my favorite heists in the game. Aside from those minor issues with the RNG and this weird filter lighting bug in the locker room, I think it's a very well done map. You did great, Starbreeze. Keep it coming. Now let's talk about the weapons, because we got quite a bit of them with this update. We got some free ones and we got some great ones in the DLC. Let's start with the free ones, the LMG, the Spruta MX63. I apologize if I pronounced that incorrectly. In Payday 2, it was known as the Campbell 74, and here it's completely free to all players. This beast holds 100 rounds, and with ammo funnel and replenish, you're gonna struggle to empty the entire box. Unless, of course, there's a bulldozer. Overall, it's a great gun, but I do feel like you might get outshined by some other guns here or in the future. Now, I will admit, I'm not the best person when it comes to ranking LMGs in Payday. I didn't really use it in Payday 1, and Payday 2, I didn't really use them at all. I mean, sure, I loved the Versteck, but that was a special case. That felt more like an assault rifle that was kind of souped up and had a bunch of ammo. But then again, I guess the way I kind of describe this LMG is that it's an assault rifle with more ammo. So if you're someone that doesn't like to reload a lot, this might be the gun for you. Give it a try and let me know what you think. Next up is the second free gun, which is a goddamn preset. Man, I hate these things. Just let me customize them. Come on. At least this one's actually pretty good. Like, if I was forced to use any preset in the game, this is the one I'd probably go with. It's the Queen's Revenge, a heavily modified Car 4. How heavily modified? Enough to make them have to change the font in the list to fit everything in. It's supposed to be a custom weapon for Clover, who is also free to all players. And in the lobby, she looks just as excited to get into the heist as I am to talk about the paid DLC weapons. The first of these 3 is the Adling RG5. I don't know what it's called. It's a G3A3. It's also known as the Gura 3 in Payday 2, but I'm just gonna call it the G3. All right, it's easy just to say that. I don't know what's with this naming convention that they have with Payday 3. Why are we changing it for Payday 2 and sometimes Payday 1? I am sick and tired of the cars outside my window roaring. Stop it! Anyway, this assault rifle is kind of like a variant on the SCAR or the AK, which are widely considered some of the best assault rifles in the game. However, the SCAR does have one major drawback that the G3 doesn't have, which is that the SCAR's recoil is annoying to deal with. The G3 doesn't have that problem at all. In my opinion, the G3 is like a straight upgrade from the SCAR or the AK, combining the best of both worlds as well as better ammo pickup. However, I will say the SCAR does have a better weapon inspect animation. Next up is the ATK-7, or the Compact 5 to Payday fans, but in real life it's just called an MP5. This gun is by far my favorite SMG in the game. Granted, the war was fun to use, but I struggled with its ammo. The FIC was nice, and the Commando eventually became a good gun, but the MP5 is definitely the best of the bunch. The gun is stable, has a high firing rate, enough ammo to get the job done, which personally fits my playstyle. I typically play an adrenaline build. While its damage may not all be there, especially in comparison to assault rifles, it is fun to use. The reload animation is quick and snappy, which makes it just feel good. It has that good old HK slap. The inspect animation is also very fun, but there's one issue I have with the MP5, and it's something you might have noticed. Your tactical reload has you ejecting the current round for some reason. It's hard to see, but for some reason you pull the charging handle back and then slap it after switching the mags. This is very fixable, but it's very strange that it's like that for there. That's something you typically would only do once you emptied the gun. However, the slap really does fit in with the fast-paced nature of this gun, and when you do a full reload, you actually give it a Donkey Kong punch. Now, overall, I think this is a fantastic weapon, and it really fits in with my fast-paced style of play, at least more so than the G3 or some of the other SMGs. Finally, we have the Bull Kick 500. This Smith & Wesson Model 500 is by far the most powerful secondary in the game. It's like a pocket sniper. It one-shot body shots everything except the bulldozer. It's 5 rounds of pure death. You really feel like a ranger with a big iron on your hip. The only real drawback is its reload speed, recoil, firing rate, but it's fantastic at taking out shields because you can one-shot them through the window. Then you just pull out your primary and take out everyone else. It's fantastic. I love this gun. I feel like I can take out anyone. And its ammo pickup isn't bad. It's not a problem. I wouldn't use this weapon to take out a group because you're going to be firing so slow. And I mean, it is incredibly slow firing rate, but it's so damaging, it's useful in other ways. I'm sure, and some of the other guns here are definitely going to get nerfed, but until then, enjoy them while you can. Real quick, before we move on to the Taylor Pack, there's one last thing I want to talk about when it comes to these weapons. And that's that the 4 that are modifiable have a lot of mods that they can actually use. I think it's real nice because a lot of the other weapons don't tend to have a lot of variety in terms of mods. In fact, some of the changes between some of the mods may seem very minimal and are mostly just aesthetic. Now, it's not as good as Payday 2's modifications, but it is definitely a step in the right direction. Now, as for the Taylor Pack, I mean, I like some of them, but I think I love the Mr. IT from the Syntax Air Taylor Pack more. And I'll probably be sticking with that, but I will say these two are probably my favorite. And I would use them if I could change my outfit for each loadout, Starbreeze. Why can't I do that? I mean, at least I can rename the loadouts, but why not the guns or masks? Come on! I mean, I know I'm not going to have multiple of the same guns right now, but it's simple enough. Come on, just... Next update maybe next update. And that covers almost everything. This update also gave us a big step forward for solo and offline play. Starbreeze has said that the game cannot be played offline because of all the processing done server side, but they've been trying to implement solo play and then offline play. With this build, they have released a solo mode in beta, and they recommend everyone give it a try and let them know what they think. So far, I haven't really seen anything drastically different. My computer specs aren't the best for Payday 3, so I think that, shows that it's capable of running, on solo. The main thing I've only really noticed is that there's less civvies walking around, and I think there was like 2 less bags of money on No Rest for the Wicked, but that's about it. Give it a try and let me know what you think, and make sure to tell them what you think as well. That's more important than telling me. They plan on improving this and getting offline out before the end of the year, so I'm excited to see that. And remember, it's just in a beta, and they are very open with this. It literally says beta on the option in the menu. Hopefully they'll improve the friendly AI though. That is really bad. It's gonna need a lot of work. I mean, it's better than Payday 2's was on launch, but hey, it needs improvement. Other than all that, there are some bug fixes and balancing changes to ammo pickup on some guns, like the War, for instance. And the payout for No Rest of the Wicked has also been changed, so that way it's significantly less, which I guess makes sense seeing how it's supposed to be the first heist. Other than that, there's not really much else. The Twitch drops aren't bad, but they do really need to add more patterns for masks. The customization in Payday 3 is pitiful when it comes to masks. But like I said in the beginning of this video, it's a step in the right direction for Payday 3, and I'm excited to see what comes next. As always, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments, and until next time, stay hydrated, and remember, I love you!